Maya stood at the observation deck watching the alien station grow larger through the window as her ship approached, and her hands trembled slightly, because this was her first real contact mission with an entirely new species, and everything she had trained for over the past 3 years was about to be tested in the next few hours. The Kelthera station, called the Pearl of Andara, gleamed like a massive opal floating in space, with colors shifting across its surface in waves of blue and purple. And Green and Maya wondered if those colors meant something or if they were just pretty decorations that the aliens liked. Commander Lisa Grant walked up beside her and said that Maya needed to remember everything depended on making a good first impression because Earth needed the Kelthera as allies, and the mining rights to the moon called Theta 7 would secure resources for the next 50 years, and Maya nodded, even though the pressure made her stomach twist into knots. The docking process took 20 minutes, and Maya used that time to review everything she knew about the Kelthera, which honestly was not very much because they had only made contact with humanity 6 months ago through long-range transmissions, and most of what people said about them back on Earth was just rumors and speculation. What she did know for certain was that Kelthera females ran their entire civilization, while males handled what they called support roles, and that their ambassadors were always female, and that they stood nearly 7 feet tall with silver skin that had some kind of bioluminescent quality, and that they found human emotional displays to be strange and excessive. The airlock hissed open, and Maya walked through with 2 other officers following behind her, and the Kelthera station interior was nothing like human ships with curved walls that seemed organic, and lighting that came from the walls themselves rather than fixtures, and the air smelled like rain and Copper 3. Kelthera females waited in the greeting chamber, and Maya's breath caught because they were even more impressive in person than the images had suggested, with their height and their skin that looked like liquid metal and patterns of light moving beneath the surface like circuitry made of stars. The one in the center stepped forward, and Maya could see that her patterns were more complex than the others, with geometric designs flowing down her arms and across her chest. And when she spoke, her voice was deeper than Maya expected, and she said that she was Ziranel, and that she served as ambassador for the Kelthera. Ascendancy Maya smiled and extended her hand the way humans did in greetings, and immediately all 3 Kelthera females went rigid and their skin patterns flashed bright red, and Ziranel's eyes widened and she took a step back and said something sharp in her own language to the other 2. Maya's heart dropped, and she realized she had just made a terrible mistake somehow, and she quickly pulled her hand back and bowed her head and said that she apologized if she had given offense and that she meant no disrespect. Ziranel was quiet for a long moment, and her patterns slowly faded from red to orange, and then to a neutral silver, and she said that among her people extending an open hand toward another was a challenge to physical combat, and that such challenges were only issued when honor had been violated. Maya felt heat rush to her face, and she bowed again, this time with her palms turned upward, the way she suddenly remembered from one of the training files she had not studied carefully enough. And she said that she was ignorant of proper customs, and that she came in peace and friendship. Ziranel looked at Maya's upturned palms, and her pattern shifted to a soft blue, and she returned the gesture with her own palms up, and said that the mistake was understandable because their peoples were still learning about each other, and that no harm was done. The rest of that first meeting was formal and careful, with both sides being very polite and very cautious, and Maya could not stop thinking about how badly she had started things, and how Commander Grant would be furious if Maya had ruined the entire mission in the first 30 seconds. But over the next 3 days, as Maya and Ziranel met to discuss the mining rights to Theta 7, something unexpected happened, and they began to have real conversations instead of just diplomatic speeches. Maya learned that the patterns on Ziranel's skin changed, with her emotions turning deep blue when she was annoyed, and soft green when she was amused, and golden yellow when she was interested in something, and pale violet when she was tired. Ziranel learned that humans smiled for dozens of different reasons, and that Maya smiled especially often, even when talking about serious topics, and at first she thought this meant humans did not take things seriously. But Maya explained that smiling helped humans feel more comfortable and connected to each other. The problem was that both governments wanted exclusive control of Theta 7, and Commander Grant told Maya to negotiate hard and not give ground, while Ziranel received similar instructions from the Kelthera elders, and neither side wanted to share the valuable minerals that the moon contained. On the fourth day, Maya and Ziranel sat alone in a small meeting room, and Maya said that she thought the whole situation was foolish because there were enough resources on Theta 7 for both peoples, and fighting over it would cost more in the long run than cooperation. Would Ziranel's patterns flickered with surprise, and then slowly turned warm gold, and she said that she had been thinking the same thing, but that her elders believed humans were too aggressive and unpredictable to be trusted as partners. Maya laughed at that, and said that the Kelthera elders should meet Earth's politicians if they wanted to see real unpredictability, and Ziranel's patterns shifted to green, and she made a sound that Maya realized was Kelthera laughter. They talked for hours that day about their worlds and their families and their hopes, and Maya learned that Ziranel had a younger sister named Veshara, who commanded a survey ship, and that Ziranel worried about her because Veshara was impulsive and took too many risks. Ziranel learned that Maya had grown up near the ocean, and that she had become a diplomatic officer because she believed different people could understand each other if they just took time to really listen, and that she missed Earth's blue skies and the sound of waves. On the seventh day, everything changed when Veshara's ship sent out a distress signal near Theta 7 saying they had been hit by debris from a meteor storm, and that their engines were damaged and that they were losing life support. Both human and Kelthera military vessels immediately rushed to the area, and Commander Grant called Maya back to the Horizon Star and said that this might be a Kelthera trick to claim Theta 7, and that they needed to be ready for anything. Maya argued that it was a real emergency and that they should help, but Grant said that protecting human interest came first and that they would observe but not intervene unless absolutely necessary. Meanwhile, Ziranel was having the same argument with her own military commanders who thought the meteor storm might have been caused by human weapons testing and that this was an act of war. Maya knew that if both sides just sat there watching and suspecting each other while Veshara and her crew died, then any hope of peace would die with them, and so she did something that could have ended her career. She contacted Ziranel directly on a private channel without telling Commander Grant, and she said that they needed to work together right now, or Veshara would not survive, and that their peoples could either start their relationship with cooperation or with letting people die out of fear and suspicion. Ziranel's patterns flashed through a dozen colors in quick succession, and then settled on bright gold. And she said that Maya was either very brave or very foolish, but that she was right. Together they convinced their commanders to coordinate a rescue with human ships providing power transfer, while Kelthera ships handled the delicate work of stabilizing Veshara's damaged vessel, and it took 6 hours of dangerous work with both crews having to trust each other completely. When Veshara and all 43 members of her crew were safely aboard the rescue ships, Commander Grant looked at Maya with an expression that was half angry and half impressed, and she said that Maya had taken a huge risk, but that it had paid off. Ziranel brought Veshara to meet Maya the next day, and Veshara was smaller than her sister, but her patterns moved faster, and she hugged Maya, which startled everyone because Kelthera did not usually touch other species, but Veshara said that anyone who would risk their career to save strangers was someone worth knowing. The rescue changed everything between the two species, because both sides had seen that cooperation worked better than suspicion, and that humans and Kelthera could trust each other when it mattered most. Maya and Ziranel presented their joint proposal for shared mining operations on Theta 7, with both peoples contributing expertise and splitting the resources equally. And after some debate, both governments agreed because the successful rescue had proven that working together was possible. On Maya's last day at the Pearl of Endara, she met with Ziranel one final time, and Ziranel's entire body glowed with warm golden light, and she said that humans were far braver and kinder than her people had believed, and that Maya had taught her that reaching across differences required courage, but that the rewards were worth the risk. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes, and she said that the Kelthera were not cold and logical like rumors suggested, but deeply emotional beings who simply expressed feelings differently, and that she hoped they would meet